get into it, man. Look. Yes, sir. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy D Mills, aka D Mills 260, aka D Mills the GOAT. Look, and as you guys see by the title, you already know what the fuck going on. Look, everybody knows you need oxygen to breathe, y'all. So what if our planet loses oxygen for 5 seconds? What if? I feel like if we lost oxygen for 5 seconds, I don't think we would too much die. You know, we might feel like a little bit of for 5 seconds. You know what I mean? You get what I mean? Like when you lose your breath when you fall or some shit. I feel like it might be like that if you lose oxygen for 5 seconds. But I'm telling you, if that shit happened for real, the world would fucking trip. Swear to God, man. But look, let's get straight to the video, man. I don't want to say too much.
Our planet's atmosphere is very important. It's difficult to overestimate its significance. The atmosphere provides oxygen, makes life possible on Earth, protects against harmful cosmic radiation. It can handle even small asteroids. It's impossible to imagine how we could survive without it, but I decided to try. So let's say the universe failed. The atmosphere disappeared for 5 seconds. What would happen? Today, I'm going to show you what changes the planet would experience without the atmosphere and oxygen. A small spoiler. Don't think for a second that this could happen without consequence. Boiling oceans, destroyed buildings, extinction of birds and animals. Imagine a
I know he done talking about this going to happen in 5 seconds. Can't be.
Disaster movie. This is going to be even worse. First, let's define what the atmosphere is. This is the gas envelope of the planet. It consists of several layers that differ in density and properties. The history of the atmosphere began a long time ago.
No, I swear to God, I feel like I'm learning a lesson right now, y'all. Hey, make sure y'all tune in. Make sure you guys tune in. Like, we finna learn something, for real.
Initially, these were just light gases captured from interplanetary space.
Okay.
Volcanic activity, chemical reactions, ultraviolet radiation, and other factors gradually changed the atmosphere. They brought it.
It's a lot going on, for real.
In fact, an Earth without an atmosphere is a realistic scenario. This could occur as a result of a strong impact from a meteorite. The gas molecules would gain enough speed to move beyond the gravitational pull of the planet, and some of the atmosphere would just blow out into space. To understand how important it is for the planet, just look at Mars. It lost most of its atmosphere about 4 billion years ago. Only a thin layer remains,
bro.
And as such,
like Mars been up that long, bro.
To live.
That's
On Earth,
crazy.
too, there are examples of partial
I don't know if people know this or not. If you do know, drop it in the comment section. I'm not too educated on this, but so was Mars actually like Earth? You know what I mean? Like, was there actually life on there at one point? And if there was, what happened? You know, I want to know shit like that. Like, what happened if that was the case? 4 billion years ago, there had to be some type of life on there, bro. And we're not the only ones living. I'm not saying there's aliens and shit, but I know we aren't the only ones. You know, we can't be. We can't be the only living beings here, bro. I don't believe it.
Destruction of the atmosphere, ozone holes. These are weak areas of ozone concentration in the ozone layer. But even this change in the atmosphere has serious consequences. The flow of ultraviolet solar radiation increases.
Well, this shit look hot as hell.
Monday.com Work Docs is a new kind of doc. You don't just write with it, you create entire workflows with it. Work Docs are connected to all your work,
which leads to the development of cancer. Not to mention the negative impact on wild and domestic animals, crops, and the environment in general. But what happens if it's not just an ozone hole? Let's say that somewhere there's a huge toggle switch for controlling the atmosphere, and right now, it's been turned off for 5 seconds. First of
what's
all,
going to happen in 5 seconds?
Quiet. An elastic medium is necessary for the propagation of sound waves. Without an atmosphere, the waves would simply have nowhere to move. That's why you
Wow.
can't hear anything when you're in space. Under such conditions, you'd be able to feel vibrations from the Earth's crust, but nothing more. If you just recently admired the pink sky at sunset, you can now forget about it. The sky will no longer have any shades other than black. For it to change color, you need an atmosphere. The sun's rays are dispersed through
Bro,
it.
that's
And
crazy,
without
man.
an atmosphere, there would no longer be a blue sky. Remember the pictures taken on the moon's surface?
But the question is, will all this happen in 5 seconds though? That's what I really want to know. In 5 seconds, what's going to happen though? You know?
That's how
There's
it
no
would
way
look.
all that's gonna
The
happen.
Sky and silence are the least of our problems. Everything that was in the air at the time of
Oh,
the
that shit coming
shutdown
down.
of the atmosphere would
Got to.
fall to the ground. And
Facts.
I mean literally everything. Birds, planes, even insects. Without
Oh,
air,
wow.
they simply wouldn't be able to fly. If a meteor hit the Earth at this moment, nothing would stop it. Do you think this sounds like the apocalypse? It is. All internal
Definitely is.
combustion engines would fail. Oceans, lakes, and rivers would also start behaving strangely. Without an atmosphere, the boiling point of water would drop significantly. This means that all of the water on Earth would instantly start boiling, which is about 71% of the
I ain't gonna lie, that shit sounds scary as hell, for real. Like, that's just a big ass L. There's no way out of that, bro. No way out of that. And this is if it happened past 5 seconds. That's what I'm going with now. If this shit happened past 5 seconds, we're done for, bro. We're done. That's the end of the world. Say your prayers. We're going to heaven.
the planet. While the planet is boiling, let's see if we could survive on it. Well, it's going to be difficult. Without an atmosphere, all life on Earth would be in a vacuum. Some creatures could survive under such conditions. For example, tardigrades. But for most living things, even 5 seconds in a vacuum would be deathly torture. Can you imagine saliva boiling in your mouth? But the most important thing in this situation is to not hold your breath. Of course, when you run out of air, that's what you want to
holding
do.
their breath,
Holding
bro?
your breath would cause your lungs to immediately burst and cause a
Why am I holding my breath? Nigga, I'm trying to breathe. If it's 5 seconds, I'm trying to breathe. Give me some air. I'm trying to breathe.
and very painful death. If you exhaled, you'd stay alive for about 90 seconds. However,
Alright, then we
in
good then.
15
5 seconds.
You would lose consciousness. But this isn't so important because the atmosphere would disappear for only 5 seconds. So you would soon come to your senses. Another
That's what I
serious
thought.
problem is the sun's rays. The Earth's atmosphere protects us from dangerous ultraviolet radiation. Without such a shield, even sunscreen wouldn't save you. You may not get a fatal
That don't count for us. That don't count for us. We don't need no goddamn sunscreen. We don't need that shit. So we good.
It'll burn in 5 seconds, but it's unlikely you would remain healthy. The only way to avoid danger would be by staying on the dark side of the Earth during this time. But
Yeah, that ain't
5
gonna happen.
seconds would pass. When the atmosphere returned, the planet wouldn't be the same. Over time, life on it could get better. But what if the atmosphere disappeared forever? Let's go
We
back to
dead.
the point where the seas and oceans
What
were
you
boiling.
mean?
The water
We
wouldn't
dead.
boil completely. Even if the atmosphere disappeared for a long time, the consequences would be different. Eventually, the steam would be enough to stop the boiling, and all that's left would freeze. It would get really cold, about minus 18 degrees Celsius. That's about 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Water vapor from the oceans would act as a greenhouse gas, gradually increasing the temperature.
So Earth is just hold on. Before I start talking, let me see what you're gonna say. Before I say something.
Time, this would lead to a rampant greenhouse effect, which in turn would make our planet more like Venus than Mars. Or
Okay, for a second I was thinking he was saying like basically Earth is gonna turn into a big ass ice ball. But that's not the case.
Organisms that need air to breathe would die. Plants and land animals would die. Fish would die.
So basically, it's going to be another Mars.
Would also die. However, some bacteria would survive, so losing the atmosphere wouldn't kill all life on Earth. But what about people? As I said, if you didn't hold your breath, you could stay conscious for about 15 seconds.
No, we did, bro.
Even if you had an oxygen mask handy, it would be completely useless. While breathing, your body uses the pressure difference between the air in your lungs and the air outside. Without atmospheric pressure, you wouldn't be able to take a single breath. You could survive without the atmosphere, but you'd have to prepare for this.
We talking extinction, man. That's what we talking about right now. This is extinction.
Shielded domes on the Earth's surface, or create a dome underwater. All this would help to protect you from harmful cosmic radiation. And
so we would have to live underwater?
Under new conditions.
So we would have to live underwater. That'd take a lot of work, bro. I swear to God it would. But I'm sure it can get done because humans are smart as fuck and they figure out. We'll be able to figure out anything for real. So we might be able to survive on this type shit, you feel me? Probably.
Meanwhile,
another thing. I'm gonna let you know right now, everything costs money. So I want you to think about this. Everything costs money. So you know who going first in these little radiation shits? The rich. And the poor just gonna die off. That's how it's gonna go. That's how it always goes. It's fucked up. It's real fucked up, but that's how it would go. The rich are gonna live.
Volcanoes and geothermal sources would emit carbon dioxide. Ultraviolet radiation would help form oxygen. Together, all of this would gradually create a new atmosphere. It would contain much less nitrogen. Its quantity could only be replenished by meteor impacts. In any case, it would take millions of years. What if the entire atmosphere didn't disappear, but only the oxygen by itself as a chemical element? It turns out that the consequences could be much worse than what I've already described. Even if the planet only existed for 5 seconds without it, almost every object we use daily would turn to dust. Oxygen is an important part of other compounds, such as water, quartz, and ozone. Humanity would lose cars, roads, homes, and even clothing. You could also
you telling me shit just gonna turn to dust?
Concrete building on the planet. The fact is that oxygen is an important binding component in concrete.
Wow.
The ozone would disappear, and along with it, the ozone layer. The sun would start frying the Earth. Without oxygen, all water would become gas and then evaporate into space. Even the Earth's crust would see its end because it's about 47% oxygen.
Hey, what I'm getting is a lot of shit gonna happen. It's gonna turn into an ice ball. It's gonna turn into Mars type shit. And now we here turn into a fireball, bro. So much shit can happen.
But
that's crazy,
we have
man.
to witness this apocalypse. Our cells, which contain a lot of water, would also turn into gas and evaporate. Humanity itself would become dust. 75% of the matter we're made of would break down. Only a trace of nitrogen, carbon, and phosphorus would remain. Perhaps Thanos from Marvel just eliminated all of the oxygen inside of everyone.
Hey, Thanos that nigga, bro. Can't nobody whoop that ass. Can nobody whoop that ass?
Give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click on the bell.
Hey, that's crazy, man. But let me know if you guys like videos like this. Make sure you guys drop a like, hit that sub button, drop a comment. And if you guys want me to react to any certain videos, hit me up on my IG, hit me up on my Twitter, IMD Mills. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll holler at y'all.